MovieWeb.com.
You have to stop sending things. It's just getting very awkward.
I just have one more little thing. Dr. Tobin's the best marriage counselor in the city. The learners recommended her.
They've been divorced for a year.
They have, but the one thing they do agree on is how much they love Dr. Tobin. Do you still love me at all?
I don't know if I can love you a little. That's...
I can get by on a little less love for a while. I mean, maybe years.
There's my client. What's he doing in the room?
Did you hear about the Morgans?
Now, I want to ask, this is a so-called fish out of water story,
Yeah.
and in watching the film, it seems like you have a lot of scenes where genuine laughs are coming out of the moment. Did you sort of just put your head down and go through the motions of the screenplay without doing any rehearsal just to get that genuine sort of feel?
Well, rehearsal is a terrible thing for films, really. So yes, it's all about just winging it on the day, hoping it works. Because everything that's brand new and fresh, the camera loves, and everything that's pre-rehearsed, it bores the camera.
Watching some of the scenes in this movie, there's like just a genuine sort of energy that comes out of the scenes, like you're doing this for the first time and you haven't rehearsed any of this. Was that the case with like shooting the gun and some of the other scenes?
Shooting the gun, you can't rehearse much. I mean, you actually can't. We had a brief handgun class, or some would say it's a safety class, but it was in New York City in the basement of some building. Perfectly legal, I'm sure. But I wanted little or nothing to do with the guns, so I spent as little time with them as possible, and I never felt comfortable with it, but I thought it was completely appropriate that I should feel that way. So that didn't get any rehearsal. The scene work had ample rehearsal. I don't love to rehearse too much for films, and all the physical stuff I like to just sort of see what happens.
I know it's been a rough night, so get some rest and I'll talk to both of you tomorrow.
Right.
Mrs. Morgan, it's Marshall Henderson. He'll be taking care of you.
Hello?
Ma'am? Do you want me to stay tonight?
No, I think I'm gonna be fine with Marshall Henderson.
Do you think he can handle it? Huh?
Mrs. Morgan, I have your car right over here.
Oh. Well, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Mr. Morgan, Marshall Ferber.
Evening, sir.
Evening.
You're in good hands.
Yes, I'm sure.
Now, I know there's some stories that you kind of played some jokes on the director. I'm wondering, how does that sort of shake your director's confidence when you go onto the set and you've already sort of built up that relationship with him?
Well, don't forget, I know this director.
I know you've worked
made
with him
three
before,
films before.
yes.
So the shocking thing was that when Sarah Jessica and I teased him with this dinner we had in London prior to production, which was supposed to be all about whether we'd get on together, and he was waiting back in New York for news of how it went, and we sent him these emails afterwards saying it was a disaster, and Sarah Jessica told him that I'd been drunk and inappropriate and racist and had tried to molest her sexually. The shocking thing was that he believed it. He's known me all these years and he totally bought it. I said, Hugh, how could you do that?
Now, had you worked with Mr. Lawrence before this? I know Hugh has.
No.
And I'm wondering, what was that relationship like, especially with what went on before you guys came onto the picture? Did you guys sort of shake up his confidence a little bit?
You mean when we pretended that we didn't get along?
Yeah, you guys are sort of joking and pulling
Yeah.
straight one on him.
One prank. It didn't really change our relationship, no. I mean, Mark is a very smart and funny and wonderfully odd man, and the only thing we did was fool him, which was immature and childish of us, and he's the
But
better
it's funny.
person. It was funny. It was funny for a minute. In retrospect, it seems embarrassing.
I know a lot of people are talking about the bear, but I gotta ask. Now, Bart or Ed Brimley, which one is the rougher actor to go up against?
Interesting. Well, I was on the other side of the door for all of the bear stuff, so I would say that Wilford is a finer actor, and has fewer demands than the bear.
But I would think he's a little bit more intimidating.
Theoretically, yes. In the practice of, no. The bear is still more intimidating. Wilford's he's a sweetheart. He really is a sweet, tender man.
Obviously.
Not brilliantly. It's very, very quiet, isn't it? I thought I could actually hear my cells dividing.
I know, I kept praying for a siren.
Yes, or a rumbling subway or something. Oh, I saw a photo of a young man. Is that your son?
That's our boy, Ray Jr.
Oh, does he live in Ray too?
No, he married a girl from Omaha, so he moved to the big city.
The big city?
Omaha.
Here you go. Sunny side eggs, sausage with bacon, home fries, homemade biscuits, and country gravy. Can I get you anything else?
No, thanks. Just an angiogram.
There's a very telling scene in this movie where you're milking cows with Sam Elliott, and at that point you see that there are quite a few layers to Meryl. And I'm wondering, did you see sort of the in-depth nature of her character reading the script, or was that something you sort of brought into it yourself and tried to build her up as a real person on screen?
As I recall, that scene was written, I believe, right before we did the first table read, and I loved that scene because it's sort of her interior monologue on an audible track, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, my hope was that we could see some sophistication and some great use of language during the course of this movie, that we weren't just going to be sophisticated New Yorkers going to a small town and making fun of people, which is lazy and easy and too obvious. So I was hoping in the time given that we could somehow show her to be a somewhat complicated person. It's much more interesting to play as an actor.
It's much more interesting to watch too when you're watching a comedy like this one, or real
hope so.
characters. I think so,
hope
but
so.
I was gonna say in that scene, and maybe it's just me, I thought maybe she wasn't being so genuine with him, that maybe there was a little bit more to the story. So which asks the question about the end of the movie.
Larry?
Is it Larry or is it Paul's baby?
I have to believe in my heart of hearts, that it's Larry's baby.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
That's
of
a
course
totally different
not.
question than what Hugh said. And Hughes was a little bit dirty when he told me what happened. He went in depth on this.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, we have had a DNA swab, and it is, in fact, Paul's baby.
God, I'd never thought it was Larry's baby. That's awful.
But you wouldn't think that, but she doesn't seem like she's being quite honest.
I don't think it's Larry's
points.
baby because he pulled out.
You right, Paul?
Yes, I had some lessons when I was a child.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, well, I don't tell you everything. So.
Yeah, I knew that.
We are here, and there is absolutely nothing we can do about it. This may sound strange, but would you like to go on a date with me? This is the only place to eat in town. Luckily, I called ahead and got a table near the mayonnaise. God in heaven, that hurt. Agony.
Paul, don't move. There's a bear behind you.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't run. Wait, no. You don't listen to me.
Can we not do this now?
Speak in a soft monotone.
My wife is a member of PETA. I have been meaning to join.
Run!
Did you hear about the Morgans?